Welcome to my channel. My name is Tolu. I'm a Christian dating coach and I help single saved women attract their husbands. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, Dating to Marry is open. This is my program that shows you how to attract the right man for you to get into a committed relationship leading to marriage in just 12 months. So I wanted to talk about how often you attract quality men. Now, the reason I want to talk about this, and if you're watching this live, drop it in the chat. So part of the Dating to Marry process, part of what we do when we work together one-on-one is really coming into an understanding of what is the frequency that you're using in dating. So your dating frequency is basically how often do you see results? What is the frequency that you see results as you date? So what is the frequency in which you attract men? What is the frequency at which you attract men that you actually do find interesting and you do want to have conversations and connect with? What is that frequency? It's important for you to know so that you are able to determine how often it is you're coming into contact with men, and more specifically, how often it is you're coming into contact with men that you find interesting and you want to be intentionally involved with. So, as single saved women, you may struggle with understanding what that looks like for you specifically, because unfortunately the dating process has been spiritualized to the point of foolishness. That's the best way I can put it. There are steps that you take that are going to lead you to the right marriage for you, and one of those steps is really knowing what your dating frequency is. Okay, so again, your dating frequency is how often you're attracting men and how often you're attracting men you actually find interesting. Those are two different things. You may attract men, and when I say frequency, thank you, sis. When I say frequency, I'm talking about the, what's the word? Frequency is the right word. The pattern at which you can confidently say that you are attracting, maybe you say you attract men every month. You attract 3 men every 2 months. You attract 3 men every quarter. You attract no men at all. That's a whole separate topic altogether. That's what we do in Wife in Waiting. But if you are in the container whereby you're attracting men, but they don't want to commit, or you're really struggling to meet men that you can build sustainable relationships with, you're getting stuck in what I say situational cycles, talking stages, then you really want to look at your dating frequency. Thank you. You really want to look at your dating frequency, okay? So when you come into the Dating to Marry program, one of the first areas that we address is your dating frequency. I want to know how often you're attracting men. I want to know what is the frequency at which you find them interesting, so that we can start working immediately you join the program. We can start working with the facts of your dating experience. It's not simply based on this is what I would like to happen, this is my ideal situation. What is the fact? What is your actual experience when it comes to meeting men, talking to men, getting to know men, getting into relationships, really identifying, okay, what is the evidence to support the fact that you tend to meet men every single month, or maybe you're meeting men every quarter, because that's where we're going to make the initial adjustment. Okay, that's where we're going to make the initial adjustment. So what I mean by adjustment is we want to change that frequency. For instance, clients come into the program, maybe they meet men, maybe once every other month, but they're not meeting men they find interesting. That's where we make the initial adjustment. How can we put you in a position where you meet men that you find interesting? Because you're obviously going to find your husband interesting. You're obviously going to have to meet your husband. Your husband is obviously a man. You're going to have to interact with him. So to get you closer to that point of meeting your husband, we need to make sure that you are coming into contact with men that you at least find interesting. So that's the initial tweak that we will make inside the Dating to Marry program to make sure that you start seeing actual evidence of you taking tangible steps to meet men that you find interesting, and obviously it's inevitable at that point to meet men that you can commit to and enter a healthy relationship leading to marriage with. So what is your frequency? You can drop it in the chat. How often do you attract quality men? And quality is obviously very subjective. It really depends on, when I say quality, I'm talking about what you consider quality. Maybe men that are intellectually stimulating, maybe men that are financially stable, maybe men that you can see that they serve in the church, it really is subjective because everyone's marital path is different. So inside the program, when we work together one-on-one, we are going to clean up your marital path. When I say your marital path, I'm talking about what is your own unique map towards marriage. What is it that you're meant to do? How are you meant to date to get to the point of stepping into the marriage God has for you? Instead of meeting men that waste your time, meeting men that you cannot have substantial relationships and, connections with. What does it look like for you specifically as a person, for you as Tosin, for you as Kate? What does it look like for you specifically to come into that space where you are dating with your own marital plan that is exclusively for you so that you can get into the marriage God has for you? So one of the ways that I do this with you in the program is your dating frequency, okay? So again, your dating frequency will just let me know how often you're meeting men. How does it play out? So is it that you're meeting men and then they disappear, right? Like you're meeting men and it never lasts longer than a week. Or when you meet men that you find interesting, it always leads to a situationship. Or when you meet men, it's always a question of they don't share your values. We need to figure out what exactly it is that is the common denominator with all the men you're meeting, and what is the frequency that that's happening at. That is how I'm able to help you establish this is where we're going to start our work, and this is how it's going to look like for you to start seeing results as you date. Okay, so this is what I do with clients when they join Dating to Marry. Within the first few weeks, you're going to know your dating frequency because we need to know what is your current situation. Are you in a dating cycle of situationships, talking stages? Are you, still processing your divorce and you are trying to figure out how to just date? This is why with the Date to Marry program, it's very tailored to your own situation. That's why, when you come into the program, we're working one-on-one because I really want to see what exactly it is about the way you're dating that is making it difficult for you to enter relationships that are leading to marriage, right? Leading to the marriage God has for you. Okay, so someone dropped in the chats, I mostly attract men that are separated. Okay, so that I said, your dating frequency in that case just means that you're currently attracting men that have been previously married. And by the way, just for clarity, when you say separated is different from divorced. Separated means that they are not legally divorced yet, so they are technically still married. But you really want to pay attention, in just that scenario. Say you notice that you're always attracting men that don't want to have a relationship with you. If that is the frequency that you're putting out, in other words, when I say frequency, if that is the message, the messaging you're putting out, because your messaging, in other words, the way you're showing up, the way men perceive you, that's a better word. Your frequency lets you know how men are perceiving you and how frequently they are perceiving you. So what I mean by that is, if men are approaching you and they do not want a relationship with you, they are not perceiving you as relationship material. If they don't want to be exclusive but they want relational privileges, it means they see your value but not enough for it to be exclusively committed to. So that would be where the work needs to be done, right? For example, a client came to me, she was in a situational cycle, she was dealing with a situationship. So we identified that, okay, that's your frequency and that's where we need to initially make the switch by making sure that you know how to get out of this situationship. I was able to give her a clear plan that she was able to apply to get out of that situationship, and that thing that had gone on for months, she was out of it in a couple of weeks. So it's really important to look at when you're also assessing your dating frequency, it's any common pattern that you're noticing. Maybe you're noticing that all the men you attract do not want to be taking you out on dates. Maybe they want certain privileges. You're noticing that all the men you attract, you have to be financially responsible for. All the men you attract are manipulative, narcissistic. All the men you attract are never single. Okay, they're always in one relationship or the other. Maybe you notice all the men you attract don't want to discuss the future with you. That is your frequency. Okay, that is your frequency. That's where we need to do the work for you to start seeing changes and a shift in the way you date. So when I ask you how often do you attract quality men, it's because that's the baseline that we're going to use to determine where you need to make the shift to start seeing actual evidence that you are moving towards marriage, right? So this is what I do with you inside Dating to Marry. Like I said, this is my 6-month program where we work together one-on-one to get you into a committed relationship leading to marriage in 12 months. And this is how I do it, because immediately you join the program, we're going to go through a couple of things. One of the areas that we're really going to hone in on is your dating frequency. So that will enable me to know, this is your current pattern. This is how men are perceiving you, and this is why they're pursuing you in the way that they are. You may notice as well, as a result of your frequency, men lose interest very quickly. You may notice that they start off strong and then they get weak and uninterested. Maybe initially they were doing all these things, wanting to take you out, and then they get lazy. You notice that they may be getting distracted. They're not consistent. There's communication that is breaking down and dying down. Then there's something in your frequency that we need to adjust. So the work that we'll do inside the program is really identifying, okay, what are the patterns to suggest this is a frequency you're at. So it's kind of like changing the thermostat, yeah, changing the temperature so that you are attracting a different caliber of man. And what happens with clients is they will start noticing that, okay, now I'm attracting men that look and act like what I actually want. They will start noticing, okay, he's starting to show values that I aspire to. He's starting to show indicators that let me know this is somebody I can commit to, and that's how they end up in committed relationships leading to marriage. So dating to marriage is the process whereby I get you to that point where you are consistently attracting men that would lead you into a relationship that will lead to the marriage God has for you. Right? So it's important to know your dating frequency. So to be able to do this, I just want you to, inside the program, we have a whole set of steps that I take you through so that we can tackle each one as we go along to make sure that you are changing your frequency, and we can see evidence of that in the men you start to attract. For instance, clients start to notice that they're attracting more quality men more frequently, or for some clients, it may not be that they're attracting men more frequently, as they are attracting higher caliber men instead of men that are deadbeats, for lack of a better way of putting it. So it's important for you to know your frequency so that you know exactly what you need to adjust to start getting results in the way you date. So the reason I say that sometimes this is over spiritualized is there's this assumption that I just need to pray. That's all I need to do. I just need to pray and it will happen. That's not how anything works. Faith without deeds is dead. Prayer requires you to partner in your actions by being practical. God will give you steps that you need to take. So through the dating to marry process, you become aware of your own unique steps, and I show you exactly how to be able to recognize your frequency so that you can change it, because you cannot change what you cannot see, right? So if I want to change the temperature in a room, if I can't find the thermostat, well, I'm not going to be very successful in changing it, am I? I'm going to have to adjust. So a lot of you are adjusting to the way you're dating and hoping for a change. You can't adjust and change at the same time. It's either you're changing, like using the example of that room, it's either you find that thermostat and change the temperature, or you leave the room. Those are the only two options for you to see a change. Adjusting does not produce any results. Adjusting is just basically acceptance. And a lot of you are accepting your dating situation, hoping for a shift. Those two cannot work together, right? So this is why when clients come into the Dating to Marry program, initially what we're going to do is really understand what your dating frequency is so that we know, okay, what is the temperature that you're currently experiencing with the way you're attracting men. And I can tell this by, apart from how often do you attract men, let's also look at how often you attract men that you're interested in, and the timeline and what it looks like when you're actually having conversations and interactions with those men. Just by that's just part of it, but we do a deeper work, because that way we can now take practical steps for you to hit the ground running, start seeing changes that, show up in the men you're seeing, the men you're attracted to. And this is how you get into a committed relationship, right? The reason I really want to break this down is because I don't want you to assume you have no role to play when it comes to the way you attract men, because that's just not true. Okay, there's something about your frequency. In other words, there's a way that your dating frequency is set up that is going to heavily impact the way you're attracting men, the frequency with which that is happening, and the caliber of men you're attracting. That is where we want to make the adjustment. And literally, when I do this with clients, I've seen varying results, all good, all positive, all leading towards marriage. So for example, a client came to me. She was how would I describe this? She was talking to a guy for a long time. He didn't want to take the next step. We adjusted her frequency. Within a couple of weeks, he wanted exclusivity. All we did was adjust the frequency, right? So I helped her to identify, okay, what are the common things we need to pay attention to here, and what are the adjustments that we need to make for you to get a different result. One of the evidence of the temperature, so to speak, in the room changing was this guy now wanted exclusivity. Another client noticed that, apart from being in a situationship, she was starting to get interest from men that were not even in a relationship with her, wanting to provide for her, show up for her, assist her in different ways. We adjusted her frequency, right? So it's really that simple, and this is when I say you can meet men anywhere. I've seen this thing with different clients of mine. Literally was in our community earlier today. A client noticed a shift in the way men were looking at her. How? We started adjusting her frequency, right? So your frequency, the reason I'm giving you all these examples is I want you to understand that your frequency is within your control. It's within your control. It's not something that is abstract. It's not something that is out of reach. It's not something that you cannot touch. It's not something that isn't tangible. It is something you can touch, change, feel, and switch so that you can start seeing a shift in the results that you have in dating. And this is how I help my clients, okay? So if you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to start attracting, you want to start getting you want to get in position for a committed relationship leading to marriage. Maybe you've noticed. And let me know if you have any questions. Just drop it in the chat. If you have any questions for me, feel free to drop it in the chat. If you want to start seeing results, right, in the way in which men want to commit to you and really getting into a position to get into a committed relationship leading to marriage, then definitely apply for the Dating to Marry program. The link is in my bio. It's the first tab, link in my bio, to work with me one-on-one. Apply there. If you're watching this live, just use the link that is being displayed. But yeah, this is the importance of dating frequency. Okay, that's what I call it. And really, when you come into the program, it's a set of questions I give you to really help you understand what does it look like for you when it comes to your interactions with men. Like for example, the earlier comment on I tend to attract men that are separated. Okay, we need to do some work from that angle. Why is that happening? How does it happen? And so on and so forth. So this is how I'm able to help my clients see a shift in the quality of men that they're attracting at the initial stage of the program. Of course, it's an entire process. That's why we're working together for 6 months, because I want to identify how you are currently dating and how we can get you in position to actually connect and commit to the man that you're going to marry, right? Awesome. So I'll see you guys later. I will look through your applications to work with me one-on-one. And you just apply by the link in my bio. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM, and I'll respond. I'll talk to you later.